I wish I knew this sooner because it would have saved me time, money, stress, and a lot of dumb mistakes that felt small in the moment but added up into something way bigger than that. It's really the theme here. Most of the things that actually change your life are not dramatic. They're simple but ignored. And the cost of ignoring them compounds quietly until one day you just realize you've been doing things the hard way for years and when it never had to be the way in the first place. The first thing I wish I knew sooner is that time is your most valuable asset. Not money, not talent, not connections, time. Because everything else can be built or recovered, but time, once it's gone, is gone. And the earlier you understand that, the more intentional you become with how you spend it. Because wasting a year doesn't feel like much until you realize that year could have been building something that pays you back for decades. And the second thing is that consistency beats intensity. Almost every time people get motivated, they go all in for a short period and then they burn out. But the people who actually win are the ones who show up even when they don't feel like it. Because small actions repeated daily outperform big actions done occasionally. And this applies to everything: money, your health, skills, relationships, all of it. And the third thing I wish I knew sooner is that most people are guessing, even the ones who look like they have it all figured out. And that's not an insult, it's just reality, which means you don't need to wait until you feel ready or perfect to start because nobody else is either. They just started and figured things out along the way while everyone else was overthinking. Another truth that took way too long to understand is that your environment shapes your outcomes more than your intentions. You can have the best goals in the world, but if your environment constantly pulls you into the opposite direction, you will struggle. So, changing your environment, whether that's who you spend time with, what you consume, or how you structure your day, is often more powerful than trying to rely on willpower alone. I also wish I understood earlier that money is a tool, not a goal. Chasing money for the sake of money usually leads to burnout or bad decisions, but using money as a tool to create the freedom options and security changes your approach in earnings and spending because the goal is not to look rich, it's to be in control of your life. And that's often looks very different than what people expect. Another lesson is that most expenses don't feel like a big deal in that moment, but they stack up fast. And this is where people lose years of progress without realizing it because it's not one big mistake, it's hundreds of small ones repeated daily. And the opposite is also true. Small, smart decisions repeated consistently can quietly build something significant over time. And I wish I knew that sooner, that starting is more important than planning. People spend so much time just trying to get everything perfect before they begin, but clarity comes from action, not from thinking. And you will learn more in a week of doing than months of planning. So the faster you start, the faster you improve. Another truth that changes everything is understanding opportunity. It costs every decision you make is not just about what you gain, it's also about what you give up. And once you start thinking that way, you become more selective with your time, money, and energy because you realize that saying yes to one thing is automatically saying no to something else, whether you see it or not. I also wish I realized either earlier too that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. Avoiding failure usually means avoiding growth, and the people who progress the fastest are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail, learn, adjust, and they keep going and without letting it stop them completely. Another big one is that your habits create your future more than your goals. They're important for directions, but habits are what actually gets you there because what you do every day matters far more than what you say you want it occasionally. And if your daily actions don't align with your goals, the outcome is predictable, no matter how motivated you feel in the moment. I wish I understood that sooner, that most people overestimate what they can do in a short period and underestimate what they can do over a long period. And this leads to frustration early on and missed opportunities later because they quit because the compounding effect has time to show results, whether that's in investing, learning, or building something meaningful. Another lesson is that comparison is one of the fastest way to lose focus because you're measuring your progress against people with different circumstances, timelines, and goals. And it distorts your perception of reality. The only comparison that actually matters is whether you are improving relative to your past self, not someone else's highlight reel. I also wish I knew how important it is to protect your attention because attention is what drives action and action drives results. And in a world designed to constantly distract you, learning to focus is one of the most valuable skills you can develop because it allows you to actually execute on the things that matter instead of just thinking about them. Another truth is that saying no is often more important than saying yes. Every commitment you take on, it uses your time and energy. And if you say yes to everything, you end up making slow progress on what actually matters. So learning to say no strategically is a key part of making real progress. I just wish I realized sooner that you don't need to have everything figured out to move forward. Waiting for certainty is often just a form of procrastination because most paths only become clear after you start walking them. And trying to map out every detail in advance usually leads to staying stuck. Another lesson that hits hard, really hard, is that comfort can be a trap too. Doing what feels easy and familiar might keep you safe in the short term, but it often limits the growth in the long term. And the things that actually move your life forward are usually slightly uncomfortable at first, which is why most people avoid them. I also wish I understood earlier that building anything meaningful takes longer than you expected. But that doesn't mean it's not working progress is often invisible for a long time. And then it's suddenly obvious. And the people who succeed are the ones who keep going during the invisible phase when it feels like nothing is happening. Another important truth is that who you listen to matters because advice is everywhere. But not all advice is equal. Taking guidance from people who have actually done what you're trying to do is very important from taking advice from people who are just repeating what they're heard or learning to filter that is critical. I wish I knew sooner that taking care of your health is not optional. It directly affects your energy, your focus, and ability to execute, and ignoring it eventually slows down everything else you're trying to build because you can't perform at a high level consistently without it. Another lesson is that progress is rarely a straight line. There will be setbacks, slow periods, and unexpected challenges, and that's normal. Expecting a smooth path often leads to quitting when reality doesn't match expectations, and understanding that ups and downs are part of the process makes it easier to stay connected and stay consistent. I also wish I realized earlier that you don't need massive changes to see results. You need small changes done consistently over time because those are sustainable and they compound into something much bigger than one big temporary effort ever could. And at the end of the day, I just wish I knew that most of the things that actually matter are simple, but not easy. And that difference between where you are and where you want to be is often just a series of small decisions repeated over time. The sooner you understand that, the sooner you stop looking for shortcuts and start building something real. Because the truth is, you don't need perfect timing or perfect knowledge or perfect conditions. You just need to stay connected, stay consistent, and give it enough time to work. Thanks for watching today. If you found value in today's video, please subscribe. Looking to build this channel, and without you, I can't do that. Also, comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. I respond to every positive comment. All negatives will just be deleted, so don't waste your time and don't waste mine. Thanks for watching. Also, check out this video to the right. It could also help you on your journey. Thanks. I'll talk to you tomorrow.